You're listening to the AID Network.
Hello, friend, and welcome back to another sample of Adventures in Design podcast from our Freedom Week series, where we interview 10 working professionals, ask them each 5 questions to tally it up 50 questions about staying free as a freelancer. Today we talked to Sean Mort. Sean in the last year found himself becoming a stay-at-home dad. He and I are super close friends. Therefore, we were able to have this real talk on what is the reality of having a kid, becoming a dad, but working from home. What does the reality of freelance look like when baby comes into the house and is your responsibility? This is a very honest conversation. I'm very happy to share this content with you. To hear the full version of this episode and the rest of Freedom Week, make sure you visit our website at aid.network. Let's get started with this sample from Freedom Week. It's Adventures in Design with Sean Mort. All right, well, let's talk about this then. You work from home.
Yeah.
And that happens to be where the child lives. And your wife goes to work full-time as a teacher, 3 days a week?
No, she doesn't. Yes, 3 days a week. Yeah, that's right.
So 3 days a week, she's out of the house, goes to school and teaches. And that leaves at least 2 work days where you are there by yourself. So obviously you have Ruth at home 2 days, or I'm sorry, you have 3 days where you're there by yourself. Sorry, I got the numbers backwards. You have 3 days where you're by yourself. You have 2 days where she's around, but that doesn't mean that she's just watching the baby 100% and you're not. So let's talk about the realistic look at being freelance, working from home, and taking care of a kid. I feel like you weren't prepared for how much of your time that it's eaten up.
She's not here, so I can be honest. It's fine. It doesn't work, I don't think. I genuinely don't think it works. It's a little bit easier because as of recording, yesterday, Ruth finished for summer. So she's got 6 weeks where now her time is just completely dedicated to Henry. So I can kind of catch up over these 6 weeks. And even though I'll look after him over certain days and stuff like that, it's just what I'm having to do now is catch up because I've been spending the last however many weeks just kind of falling behind and slowly falling behind and kind of just putting things off, knowing that I can't print this week, so I'll have to print next week, and then just with deadlines looming and everything looming, so it really doesn't work because it's harder because Ruth, about 3 weeks ago, Ruth's hours changed at work, so she used to work Monday, Tuesday, Friday. She used to work. So I would have Monday and Tuesday with Henry and Friday with Henry, and then I'd have Wednesday and Thursday to do my own work. And it kind of broke the week up a little bit. Just those 2 days was fine. But now she works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I look after Henry Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So what I've found is by the time I get to Thursday, I'm knackered. I'm absolutely exhausted. So, so it's Thursday today. So I've printed and I just feel like tired. I feel like I can't get as much work done as what I would normally do. And it's not a negative. It really isn't a negative. It's just that it's just, like you said, it's just a lot harder than what I expected it to be. And if there was, I really don't regret it because I love seeing him and I love spending time with him. But I was talking to Drew Millward because he's in the same situation as me. And he said something incredibly distinguishable. He said he never thought it would be possible to love someone so much, but also absolutely hate looking after them. And that's how it and maybe I'm misquoting him. Maybe he didn't say hate, and maybe he said like how mind-numbingly boring it is, because it's true. It just I feel as though I'm losing momentum when I'm looking after him. And like obviously Henry needs to be looked after, and it's great looking after him, but all the time looking after Henry is like, it goes slower than time not looking after Henry.
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
So it's like
so
mind-numbingly boring. There's no.
It's like when you're home time flies by. But if you go visit your grandma's house, it's quiet. She's probably got AC. And you're just like, God damn, I've been here for 45 minutes. I feel like I've been here for 4.5 days. There are definitely different speeds. And as someone who doesn't have kids, I'm kind of envious of have to be home, bath times this time, bedtime's this time. Like, I'm kind of envious of the slower speed because I feel like my life is just, I'm at the Han and Chewie overdrive mode 24/7.
Yeah.
The stars are always flying by me. But how have you been able to find productivity? So to give it out to people that are maybe flirting with this or thinking about this, on the 3 days when you're home by yourself, is it a false rumor that when the child takes his nap, you can actually get work done? Like, do you move the needle at all on Sean Mort Print Shop during business hours on those 3 days when you're with your son?
Like a tiny bit. I find myself doing a little bit of work on an evening, and
can you still do work after the work day's over with? Like, let me break it up into two parts to really paint it for people, because this is something that people get into and they don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
During business hours on the Monday through Wednesday, how much work do you get done when Ruth's not there?
I mean, I would say like, it's a very small percentage. We'll go back to the pizza, and I would say it's less than a slice.
Less than the crust.
I cannot. Yeah. It's about the crust, I would say.
Okay.
We have. Obviously, if he goes to sleep, but his sleeps are really weird during the day as well. So it's not like some kids can sleep for 2 to 3 hours during the day. Henry doesn't do that. Henry sleeps for 40 minutes max.
Wow.
So any kind of work I can get done at that time is a bonus, and it often happens where he falls asleep when we're out and about anyway. So
what a little
dick. I would find. I know, it's so frustrating, honestly. It just feels like, it just feels like losing momentum. So what I find is that sometimes I can just get a little bit done, or when Ruth comes home, I'll get I'll get onto a few things, but there's no real time for it to happen. The only time that I ever get any work done, and this isn't Sean Mort Print Shop work, it's like Northern Craft work, is that what I'll do. So yesterday, I had a meeting in Sheffield. So I went to Sheffield with Henry. I had a meeting, and then we found something to do in Sheffield for him to do. So we went to a bit of a soft place. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone. And he just, while I had my meeting for an hour, he just sat in his pram and I fed him whilst having a meeting. Now, it's not the most professional thing in the world. And if I was looking to get some client work, I'm sure I couldn't turn up like the guy in The Hangover and just be like, oh yeah, give me some work. Because people are just like, no, absolutely not. Get out. But because it's quite casual Northern Craft, and people kind of like that baby scene, I can get away with kind of going and taking Henry with me and doing that. But it's good for meetings, but it's really bad for actually sitting down and being at a computer and doing work. It'd be impossible. Absolutely impossible.
So my follow-up question is, you're home with him all day by yourself. When the wife comes home, I think people have two misconceptions. When the kid takes a nap, I'll be able to get work done. And then when my wife gets home or my husband gets home, I'll be able to do work in the evening. How exhausted are you after a full day of making sure? Because all kids at that age want to do is commit suicide. All he wants to do today is kill himself. And your job today is just to make sure that he doesn't kill himself. So it's just it's like Spy versus Spy, Tom and Jerry, however you want to look at it. That's just the world that you're living in. After being on suicide watch for 10 hours, are you able to get good work done in the evenings, or are you just spent?
I'm almost spent, yeah. I can get a few things done, but I can't get a huge amount done. It depends on, if I have an idea, then I'll kind of just run with it. And there's sometimes when I can't, but it just depends on what my mind frame is. I really don't think that you can get anything done. I think in an ideal world, what would be great is that when Ruth walks through the door at 5 p.m, it would be great for me to just be able to go upstairs and just spend an hour at my computer and just do that. But what I find, and I can say this again because Ruth's not in, and hopefully she isn't in and she can't hear me, and this is something that I find really frustrating. But again, it's going to be fine now because she's on vacation for the next 6 weeks. But what I find is that it gets to 5 p.m, she comes home, and she doesn't look after Henry. She just she comes upstairs and she's like, oh, I need a poo. So she'll go and have a poo for 15 minutes, and then she'll get changed for 15 minutes, and then she'll be like, oh, I'm going to go and do this, and but I'm just like, all I've done is look after him and waited for her to come back. And then when she comes back, she doesn't help. It makes it harder. Like, you know, even with things like the food doesn't make itself. So because I make all the meals and I can't really make a meal and look after Henry. But then Ruth comes through the door and she's like, oh, I'm just going to go and do this. I'm just going to go and sort this out. I'm just going to go and have a shower. Like she'll go and have a shower. And it's just like, don't have a shower. Have a shower when he's gone to bed, because I need this time. Like, I would love to be able to have like a clocking off time of 4 p.m. every day, which is like, 4 p.m. I now just, because it's not like I want to stop. I want to either cook a meal or do some work. It's just that what I end up doing is Ruth comes in at 4 p.m. and I end up then still looking after him until 5 p.m, like jointly with Ruth or sometimes on my own. And then I end up having to cook a meal. So I'm clocking out at 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. And then at that time, I am exhausted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've been going 12 hours at that moment.
Yeah, I understand. Ruth's been to work. I get it. Like, you know, she needs a release as well. Like, for her to just walk in from work and then just expect to look after Henry straight away, like, that seems unrealistic.
Right.
Because she's had a hard day. But still, it's just like, if I could have anything, that would be great, to just be able to stop at 4 o'clock and just be like, right, I'm going to do this now. You know, you feed Henry and I'll make us a meal, or I just need to go and answer these emails, or just go and sit at something. But it doesn't work.
I want to thank you for sharing that, because out of all the couples I've known that are small business owners, that are freelancers, the handing off of the baby seems to be the most contentious part of the deal. And, you know, there's, whether it's the husband or wife, whoever's at home with the baby, I don't give a fuck about gender, but whoever's on suicide watch, they have this vibe of like, it's your turn now. I've been doing this all day. Yeah. It's your turn now. But the person that comes in the door, they have the mindset of, I wasn't just at a treehouse playing with my friends. Exactly. I was working too. So it's a moment where both parties are completely spent and completely done. And the handoff seems to be the most contentious part of the day-to-day. And I've seen it across all gender lines, across all amounts of responsibility and income. Like it seems to be one of those things. And so if you're someone who's like, can't believe they're talking about kids on freelance week, like, I feel like this is a very important thing to break down for somebody who's sort of under this idea of, well, I work from home, so having a kid won't be that big of a deal.
They don't work together.
Make a game plan, kid.
I got told yesterday that like there's basically from 2 years old, we can put him into like education, like up to 2 days, and it's a little bit less expensive than before, like, because childcare is super expensive, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
So it's prohibitive, and that was always the idea. And then up until 3, like when they turn 3, you get 30 hours for free a month, a week.
Wow.
That he goes into a nursery. And so that works out at what? 30 times by 5, so that's 6 hours a day that he gets for free. So I was just like, so the deal was always just, you know, until he's 3, I'll just take this hit and it'll be fine. But now I found out that from 2, you can put him into education, and it's relatively inexpensive for him to have this, and that means that I would get 2 days back. So I could go back to either, you know, only looking after him 1 day a week, or maybe looking after him 2 days a week and getting 1 day back, and then Ruth goes back an extra day or whatever. And I just think, right now, I feel like that is absolutely worthwhile, even just for my sanity, not even to get work done, just for my sanity, just to be able to break up the week a little bit much. Like, it sounds really bad, because I absolutely love him to bits and I love spending time with him, but I also love my job. I've been doing it for 10 years and I take so much pride in it. And at the moment, I'm like absolutely failing at it because of the decision that we made. And I feel like if I'd have known all of this stuff beforehand, and a lot of people say this about having a baby, and I don't feel like this about having a baby, but if I'd have known that it was going to be as hard as it was going to be, and it was going to take so much of an impact off it, and it was going to make my job go from being super easy to like incredibly hard, I think I would have probably, I'm not saying I wouldn't have made that decision, I'm saying I would have maybe made the decision with more caution, and maybe like held off for another year, so we'd have been like maybe more comfortable or something like that, so we could have then paid for some kind of childcare or something, maybe. Well,
I appreciate your honesty on laying that out, because, you know, the audience that we have, people are in that range of they're either right there with you and they're commiserating, or it's on the horizon. And so to give people a uncensored, like, this is what to expect, I'm sure you could have seen the value in this conversation 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's the same as everything. You know, you speak to people, and a lot of people just like they cherry pick what they want to tell you, and
Sure.
they're not mega honest about it. But I just think honesty is the most important thing. And if I can, you know, I've made mistakes, and if I can help some people not make the same mistakes, I'm not talking about Henry or anything, I'm just talking about in general. You know, if I make a mistake with printing and I can stop somebody else from making that same mistake, then that's valuable, and that helps.
Absolutely.
And it's just the same with everything. So I just, you know, if I can impart this, any kind of knowledge, any kind of idea or spark in somebody's head that makes them think, oh, maybe it's not going to be quite that, maybe we need to rethink this, I think that's totally a good thing.
Thank you for listening. To hear more from Freedom Week, make sure you visit aidpodcast.com to hear all 5 episodes, 10 guests, 50 questions answered about freelance. That and 800 other episodes are available at aidpodcast.com. Thank you for listening.